Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this most crucial one-on-one with the very deaf chair, the still small voice, as people of Ambazonia know him, the baddest big boss. I am so delighted to have you here join me this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say good evening once again to you. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching us from. You're welcome to this very important show. Today, we have a one-on-one with not just the deaf chair, who is also called the defense chairman of the Ambazonian Defense Forces, Mr. Benedict Kuah, but also the chairman, also sits as the chairman of the War Council of Ambazonia. So with me in the studio is this still small voice that we all love, the man of action, the man who speaks very little, but his actions speak louder than his words. So let us welcome Mr. Benedict Kuah in the studio. Deaf Chair, you're welcome, sir.
PS, your place day. Thank you for
your
having
day.
me.
Thank you
for
very much,
having
sir.
me this afternoon.
Okay. Deaf Chair, like I said earlier, I wanted you to come in and sit with me before I give a proper introduction of who you are, because I don't want to be speaking alone while you are still in the studio. I wanted you to come up because there is so much about you that many Ambazonians don't even know, and that is because of the very crucial and strategic position that you hold in this revolution. And you sit not just as the chairman of the Ambazonian Defense Forces, but also as the chairman of the War Council of the Ambazonia War of Liberation. You hold this position of great responsibility and leadership in the fight of the Ambazonian independence. And for more than 32 to 33 years, you've stood alongside Dr. Lucas Ayaba, who is the leader of the Ambazonia War of Liberation and also the president of the Ambazonian Governing Council, and countless others. You've resisted the oppression of the occupational forces of La République du Cameroon physically. Before now, you fought with them physically, and you stood for the freedom of Ambazonia, the self-determination of your people, because you believe that your people have a right to self-determination. Your journey, Mr. Deaf Chair or Mr. Benedict Kuah, is a tantamount to your unwavering commitment to the cause and your unshakable belief in the right of the people of Ambazonia to govern themselves. As a key strategist and a leader, you've played a crucial role in shaping the resistance movement and inspiring a nation to stand for its own right to defend itself. Through your leadership, you've demonstrated remarkable courage, wisdom, resilience over the years. You faced countless challenges along the way and overcome unimaginable obstacles in your journey to where we are today. Yet you remain steadfast in your dedication for the people of Ambazonia. So, you and the leader of the Ambazonia War of Liberation, you have gone through thick and thin. As they say, it's always very difficult. You have passed through what words are unable to express. I just want to acknowledge your selfless services today, your visionary leadership, your unwavering commitment to the people of Ambazonia and the cause of Ambazonian liberation. Your legacy will be remembered for generations to come, and your name will be, of course, archived in the annals of Ambazonia, of course. And Deaf Chair, this said, this is who I know that you are. But then, not everybody knows you or even your relationship with the leader of the Ambazonian Liberation, Dr. Lucas Ayaba. Please, sir, I want you to take us back memory lane. A lot of people just see Benedict Kuah come out, 30 minutes, he's gone because he's not a noisemaker. He's a man of action. That's why they call him the baddest boss. And today, I want to, Ambazonians will be eager, to really understand this path, the perilous journeys that you've taken with the leader of the Ambazonian Liberation, Dr. Cho Ayaba, and how you people even thought of being where you are today, conceiving the ideas of even building an army for Ambazonia to resist the occupational forces of La République du Cameroon and give Ambazonia a free homeland. Please, sir, talk to us. I want you to be free and talk to your people. Let them even have a little understanding of this journey.
P.S. Yeah, please, day. As I indicated, thank you so much for having me this afternoon. Let me use this opportunity to send my greetings to our captives who are in jail, to those in the refugee camps, to our diasporan brothers, and all those who are joining us today in this broadcast, and to my comrade in arms, my brother in jail, the leader of our revolution, Dr. Cho Ayaba. This is a book that you are asking me to condense in 5 minutes, comrade. I think that there are. I don't want to say that we are all prisoners of our destinies. I think that we make our own destiny. At every juncture in people's life, you have forks in the road, right? You can either go right or you can go left. You go left, it's your destiny. You go right, it's your destiny. But you make that decision on where you go. And I can tell you that these things are not preordained about how it came about that on my own personal journey, I met somebody like Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba. I met other comrades in arms along those personal journey that became brothers, became comrades, became, goes beyond brothers. And so what I can say is that when you grow up with a set of values and principles that means something to you, something fundamental, you meet situations in the road and react to them without even realizing that you are doing something that is way bigger than just respecting the principles that you have in you. So I am so let me take it this way. I failed French in the Cameroon GC. That is the only paper that I took that I failed. Now, when there was the French period class coming on, I would just leave the class and play truant and just go out. Sometimes I might just go and stand me behind the school by the toilets. Just stand me there until the class is over. Then I come and if it's chemistry or if it's further maths or what, I'll come and sit down and do. And you cannot have told me then that I was reacting to the Ambazonia, because I will not explain it to you. I would not have explained it to you. I would just have explained that when I was a little kid, I got lost in town because my brother, who was at Sacred Heart, came and took me from Big Mancon Bazaar, that we go and watch I think it was a Tonnerre match, Tonnerre PWD, or was it Tonnerre Kamak game. I was a little kid. I couldn't even remember some of those things. And we went into the field and a riot occurred. And I got lost in town. And I think they killed a lot of students there. But the students also captured Janamari Post, the Janamari Post, and along that CCC road. So those were some of the things growing up that formed who I became. That showed me the power of collective action, fighting against oppression, fighting for. So it coalesced. It coalesced, I think, for us with fighting for an independent GCE board. When these guys try to harmonize the education and make it such that we become real, sterilized, enslaved citizens of La République du Cameroon. And that is when that fight for the GCE board, fight for the first Ambazonian University, that is when I met these comrades in arms in Dr. Cho, Lucas Ayaba, and others who lost their lives. Some went in jail for more than 30 years, tortured and died in jail, and some went on exile. And it set us on this path of Ambazonian emancipation and Ambazonian freedom. And the acknowledgement of the fact that we will have to give everything that we have, including our lives, if that is what is demanded, in order for one of the greatest travesty in history to be corrected and the Ambazonian people are free. So that is it. That I am alive today, it's the sacrifices of a lot of others that we are at this point. I am at this point with the question that you asked to me directly.
Yeah.
The sacrifices of my comrades like Dr. Cho, Ayuk, Spokes, Batango, some who have lost their lives, and others who are in dungeons. They saved my life. They saved my life. They protected my back. I protected their back. And some angels on the road. I met a policeman who would have caught me. The story of the deaf chair would be a very different story, because those folk on the road, and sometimes it's not your decision, sometimes it is those that you met on the road.
Right.
And I met one of these guys after coming from a massive Ambazonian SCYL meeting function. And these guys were arrested. They had just arrested Dr. Akwanga. They had shot others. They were on our trail. We were passing through farms, and these guys were coming behind us and they were pointing us, and they went around. They went around and met us and the group that I was leading and Guacan. I was so tired because I had worked all night and day under their military curfew that they had put, that my shoe, I had blisters. I had never walked like that in my life. I walked from Tarinkun through Bali to Bafut and back in one day on foot. Through hills and, because it's not direct, through hills and mountain villages in the dark. So I was just so tired that I could not run. And I just walked towards them. And the person that took my bag, because I had a change of clothes in my bag, the person that took my bag from me, one asked for my ID. It was a Francophone commander. I removed it and gave my ID, school ID. The one that had my bag was an Ambazonian. He took my bag. The Francophone looked my ID. Oh, these are the people we are looking for. Yes, this is the man. They have already caught Akwanga Boya University. This is him. The other one, the Ambazonian that took my back, opened my back, sent his hand. First, there was a knife lying there. The second, pulling out was my jean that was muddy from above the knee down. He just pushed it back into the back, closed it, and said that, no, where are you from? I said that I am just from Bali, from my grandma. I just came from school for Easter. From my grandmother, the taxis are not, I am just walking looking for a taxi to go. The Frank, oh, this man, the man said, no, this guy is not, it's not one of them. Ready. That is that fork on the road.
Wow.
So my story would have been totally different based on that decision, that destiny right there. But in that PS, you see the seed of why La Republique can never in a million years defeat Ambazonia. In that meeting between that Southern Cameroonian who has never met me in his life, that was his first time encountering me, and me there, tells you and every Ambazonian and Republic du Cameroonian that we are a free people, and the minute that we decide, the minute that they decided that they are going to take their gun and shoot one Ambazonian, that was the day that they lost Ambazonia, and never ever will there be a joint entity that is Cameroon and Ambazonia.
Perfect. So, Dev Chair, I know there is so much you would like to say. There is a lot that you would like to say, but I'm just kind of curious.
A lot. Do you know something that
Yes.
happened this morning? Do you know
Tell
something
us,
that
sir.
happened this morning? From the blue, I don't know if the guy, if he is watching now, I got like 50 pictures sent to my phone. PS. Like 50 pictures. And in there was a calendar. I was like a little kid that was showing the SEYL structure. And he remembered me about, he was trying to draw my attention to who he was. So he sent me that the calendar. Some places are even white. It was an old SEYL calendar. And he told me about when I was militating on the streets in Mutengene. He called some of the, that since 97, I hadn't even remembered their names.
Wow.
And I just thanked him that, you know what, for these two names that you called, these guys who were like my right-hand men as I was walking the streets of Mutengene for Ambazonia. My God, showing me the picture that they received the UN delegation at the Mongo Bridge. That's something that happened this morning. It just out of the blue.
How I wish we had those pictures here with us, but then we will have another interview that those will come up. Okay, Dev Chair, I wanted to ask you this. I think there is a little break in our communication there, but I wanted to ask you this. You and Dr. Cho Ayaba, you have never relented for about this fight for Ambazonian liberation. And I wonder what gave you people the courage, to stand against a government like La République du Cameroon. knowing fully well how brutal that La République du Cameroon is. Many people that came along with you guys along the way dropped because they could not face the persecution, but you two said no. What gave you people that courage that you could literally stand against a whole government of its own to fight for the liberation of your people? What gave you people that level of courage?
I think I really don't, because I really don't like to deal in unsubstantiated things. I think that is part of our staying power, to be able to persist in stuff, is that you deal in the harshest reality possible. And when you deal in that reality, then you already accept the consequences that when you meet them on the road, it's not a surprise. Right? So I can sit here and say that I want to fight for freedom. And for me, it might just be like a game, the newest thing in the block, right? It's like where the wind is blowing. And if that is how you view it, then I bet you once that wind change direction, you are also going to change direction. So this is brutal. I look, 1990, with the advent of the SDF and John Frundi, and all that militating for the rights of the citizens, I am really not in a position to even remember when I considered myself as part of that Cameroon entity. So when I talk about this, going back to that SDF, it's really a disgrace that I was even brainwashed to that level that I could have been looking at the SDF looking for power in Yaoundé and thinking that that was part of my own survival, of my own freedom. So when I look at that, I try to dodge that that part, but it is part of the history. So in militating with that, those that were killed in Bamenda, this La République throwing grenades into the crowd, people picked it up and grenade exploded. Those were things that the crowd had seen for the first time. Some of them. That's why they could pick up a grenade and did not know that they were carrying a live bomb in their hands. So with all of those militating, I remember when I and Dr. Cho, we had a meeting, a group of youth had a meeting with Frundi. And this man assured us that there is no way that the government of La République du Cameroon will be able to steal the election. And if they did, the council election, I think it was 93 or was it 94? If they did, the SDF was prepared to go to war in order that the victory is not stolen. That was the first time that I listened to somebody and I was prepared to die on the street, knowing that my death will not be in vain. That if they killed me as they had killed those in 1990, it would just be the opening rounds of the fight that would take place to topple that government in Cameroon. And boy, did I almost die in vain. Because not only was the election stolen, but these guys imposed government delegates on councils that had voted SDF mayors and giving those government delegates power, and the SDF did not do anything. That was the time that we suddenly gathered and looked at each other and say, okay, this is the time to form the SYL. This is the time when we have to take our destiny into our own hands and not depend on sellouts and cowards, because they will make us. That is when we gathered and sat down, and I can tell you that we understood something where the commodity in trade was alive. It wasn't anything like, oh, they might lock us in jail, oh, they might do that. We all look at each other, and that is why you see when we bring the oath that was formed then about Southern Cameroons will win this war. Therefore, I will work, I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure, I will fight even till death, as if the issue of the whole struggle depended on me alone. That is when we drew that up, looked each other in the eye, stood up, put our hand up, and believe, and we knew that that is the promise we were making. Now, P.S., that is idealism with reality, right? That is idealism, yeah. But I can tell you that once you sit down, once you have done that in that group, once you have gone out, as I went out in Mutengene to build up the SYL unit there, and we move around Ambazonia, from Saw to Ekiliwindi. Once you move, we move all around cassava farm to Bota, into Manowo Bay, creating units. Once you do that, and then you get to a situation like 97 where these guys killed, capture and torture our people, then that removes that theory, it removes that idealism, that hope from everything into now. It moves it into a range that it becomes now an obligation, right? Once those that you have gone and you sell a vision to, or you stood together and decide to walk a road, once those fell, or once they fall down, walking that road with you, the ideals that you shared with them moves from the level of idealism to that of obligation. It becomes an obligation and a responsibility for you alive to achieve that dream.
Right.
So while we came out with this esoteric, this vision of the Ambazonian on the hill, right now, the fight for me is for those that have died, that their death has meaning. That the dreams we marched on that road becomes a reality. And so if I live on this earth to be 1,000 years and I have not achieved that goal, I will remain on that road because they fell and I am standing.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for giving us that incredible history. But I am also a little bit more curious to know, at what point did you guys actually fled from Cameroon and then move into Germany? And today, you are in the USA, and you, while in Germany with Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, you continue the fight, even in the diaspora, and even in US, you have continued the fight. And I'm also a little bit curious to know how. Would it be because you guys had initially thought of the SYL unit to stand and fight against La Republique that brought about the birth of the Ambazonian Defense Forces? Or how did this actually come to play, that to be in that today we now have a very strong force on the ground?
So needs must when the devil writes,
Right.
right? You have
Yeah.
no choice. Look, the people we are dealing with are one of the most brutal regime and people in the 21st century in human history. The amount of murder, eugenics, right? This sterilization of a people so that they cannot reproduce, so that their race or they could die out.
Right.
I mean, these are some of the worst of the worst we are dealing with. I mean, look, and sorry that you are with me that I say this, PS, but these are people who took my comrades from the SYL in their jail in Kondengi. You know Christon.
Yes.
Christon. You know it.
I
They
know.
took, they cut a piece of Christon like this and force it down the urinary tract of a man and pull it out. These are the dregs of humans we are dealing with. So it is but certain that with the Ambazonian people not having the ability to fight back against this type of terror and the reign of terror after the SYL uprising in 97 that these guys institute. I mean, I was I had met with the CIC then. He was the secretary of the SYL and I was the acting chair. And I was going into Mancon to meet some guys who were part of a unit, a defense unit that we were trying to form. A very guy, as I was coming with the taxi cab, that is how the group in the very compound that I was going to meet the guy in. There was a group in the front door. And I had the taxi cab pass to go and drop me about 100 meters ahead. What had happened? These guys um, had an alert that we were going to meet there. And they came. Unfortunately for them, it was like 5 minutes prior. And unfortunately, it was the guy's younger brother who opened the door. He opened the door. There was no question asked, nothing. They just fired. They just blew him off as he opened the door like that. The brother jumped out of the window and ran away before they get into that house. 5 minutes later, I was pulling in with a car. So look, the fact that we had to enter into a ship, a timber transporting ship, is that you are looking at a scenario like that. It wasn't a scenario where I could go to a police station that I even need to make a passport to travel, because I had no passport. Luckily for me, I have never carried a Cameroonian passport. So the only means to get out, as that situation was going on, and we had been on the ground for close to a year, was to sneak ourselves into La Republique and climb into a ship to get out of Ambazonia then.
Wow.
But the only thing that achieved is merely changing the battlefield that we were on. Because as I explained to you, by then, our ideals for Ambazonia had changed from idealism to obligation, right? To responsibility, to carrying the dreams of those that have fallen for the cause that you all set out for.
Right.
So that is how, even in that ship, some of the documents in our hands, some of these I don't know whether it was Dick's computer that we had downloaded files and documents. We had met with, when we were on the ground, we had met with Amnesty International at one law firm in Mutengene, to give them evidence, to discuss about what was going on, the massacres that were going on, the hundreds that had been caught and imprisoned SYL activists, and all of that. I mean, we were pariahs, but for that 1 year, what I and Ayaba were out doing, as others of the SYL were in jail, we were not like running and hiding. We had to be going, Dr. Yombang, we had to be crossing the Mongo and going to La Republique to be holding SCNC meeting in Douala, because Ambazonia was unsafe. So we were crossing and going there to hold the meetings there because Ambazonia was unsafe there. So piece by piece, we reconstituted the SCNC until Justice Ebong became the leader.
Wow.
So that is the life and those killings that precipitated our getting on a ship and shipping out. But that in itself, if from the arrest and all that went on, from us leaving our homes and no longer sleeping where our usual residences, moving underground for a year, meeting with international organizations like the Amnesty International underground in Ambazonia and all of that, until our flight. That tells you that it was just every space was a workspace for us, for the struggle that had basically became our life by then.
Okay.
So once we landed in Germany, we had now internationalized the struggle, make the leader of the SYL, his name a household name, make sure that the prisoners, the SYL prisoners in Yaoundé, urgent actions all around the world. That's how we built up the name Akwanga, and it became a worldwide stuff. And in that way, in that forcing us out, for me, I believe was basically one of the end of La République du Cameroon, because I believe that really led in the Ambazonian Defense Force being a major force right now that will push them out of Ambazonia.
Completely. Thank you very much, sir. And to be honest, I brought this up because I wanted people to understand the journey that we did not start, well, some of us started in 2016, but that there are people in this struggle that have dedicated their lives, have sacrificed everything about themselves to make sure that Ambazonia becomes a free homeland. And just like many other celebrations, we see that there is always a figure. You and Dr. Ayaba stood shoulder by shoulder. You fought alongside each other. You were the chair of NCYL then. He was the secretary. Now he is the president of the Ambazonian Governing Council and leader of the Liberation. You are the defense chairman of the Ambazonian Defense Forces and the chairman of the War Council. You keep pulling each other along and fighting because you understand the devil you are fighting, because you already have lived the system. You know how to put your heads together and come out with strategies that can liberate our people. And we are so really indebted to you guys for the dedication, the sacrifice. Your steadfastness is something that everyone should emulate. So, sir, coming back to where we are today, we are here, we are talking about the Ambazonian Defense Forces. And again, we've seen what they've done over the years, moving from Changshu boys. I remember when they were ridiculed in 2016, 2017, calling them, oh, this one, they call themselves fighters, they're holding bow and arrows, they're holding den guns and wearing Changshus. And we use that name to refine the Ambazonian Defense Forces. And today we are talking of an army carrying RPGs, AK-47s, and a lot more. So, under your leadership and that of Dr. Ayaba, you've been able to put Cameroon to its knees. This is what we all know. Nobody can dispute this fact. You've bankrupt Cameroon. You've all really, we are just looking to really just sweep them out of the territory once and for all. And we are still here today talking about 11 February. Some of our people are still trying to celebrate 11 February, and others are still celebrating 20th May. I know in your own words, you've passed that stage of trying to explain to people why they should not attend or participate in 11 February celebration. What is the message now you have for our people, sir?
I think that we have always been a people who don't embrace their power.
Right.
We have been a people, I don't know, is it Maya Angelou or there is a poem that talks about why are you afraid of your power? Why do you make yourself small? Why are you scared of just being you? The Ambazonian people have always been a people who goes for the least of who they can be. P.S. Imagine this situation. I can bring people from 100 countries in this world. I give them a prime minister, I give them House of Parliament, I give them a House of Chiefs.
Right.
100 people different in this world. And I tell them, you have this, you are making laws, you are running election. Next year, I am going to tie you and you become an adjunct to this country that has its own parliament, its own president is bigger than you, because they are bigger than you and their territory is bigger, their population is bigger. P.S. I swear to you, 99 of those countries, by the time you finish, those prime ministers would have turned themselves into presidents. Right. I bet you, by the time you finish explaining that we will not make you a full president, you will just take you and attach you to this other country which already has its parliament. By the time you even finish that, they will catch you by your neck and throw you out the door or out the window. The Ambazonian people will sit there and nod their head, and say, okay, show us the road. Let us go. How can you not have pride in yourself? How can you look at a president sitting in Yaoundé, another president sitting in Lagos, you are sitting in Boya, and you don't get up in the morning and say, I am president in my own house, and each of you saying this nonsense, get out? Where is that sense of human in you? So I am tired of always trying to become as little as can be. The Ambazonian people are a separate people from La République du Cameroon.
Right.
We are a people with all the rights that the UN Charter granted every trust territory. We are a people with all the rights of an illegitimate government that no longer serves the people and have the right to be by themselves. We are a nation with a flag that thousands have given their life blood for. We are not in the business now sitting and explaining to anyone why a terrorist occupier event is a non-starter in Ambazonia.
Right.
The 11th February, 20th May, any organized event by La République du Cameroun in Ambazonia is an event designed to dance on the death of the heroes of Ambazonia, those who have given their lives for Ambazonia. And by God, we would die to the last man until we leave this go free. That you come and you dance on the head of thousands who have died under the flag of Ambazonia. There is no explanation to give. None. Stay at home on Tuesday, lockdown day. It is treachery, treason, to participate in any foreign event that is not organized by the Ambazonian people. This is a war zone. Thousands have died. More than 1,000 Ambazonian villages have been burned. You don't organize civilian events in a war zone. So anyone going out, let me assure you, the Ambazonian Defense Forces and other sister forces will be out deployed, because we know that the terrorist occupiers, those who have committed one of the worst crimes in human history, which is genocide and crimes against humanity, they will be out, and we will be out seeking justice on them. Don't put
Right.
yourself in the line of fire.
Right.
Don't. I'm
Welcome.
not going to explain to you why 11 February, that's absolute crap. After 7 years, there is nothing of La Republique that holds in Ambazonia. All of that, there is nothing. There is only events organized to try to denigrate the sacrifices of Ambazonia, to try to embarrass and shame the Ambazonian nation and the Ambazonian people, to try to give a false impression to the world that Ambazonia remains a slave to La République du Cameroon. That is all.
Exactly.
That is what the 11th February and all that, that is all. It's not, oh, plebiscite. No, 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 no.
Okay. Dev Chair, there is really a coincidence here. The 11th, as you can see on your screen there, the national lockdown day is the 10th and the 11th. And the Vice President came out and declared that the 10th will be dedicated in honoring our leader, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, who is in, which also falls on our country Sunday. We've always maintained country Sunday. And the 11th, which is the so-called 11th of February for a youth day for La République du Cameroon, the Vice President, and I know this is also in agreement with the War Council, that this will be dedicated, or it will be termed, the EN Endele and Mola Litumbe Day. So it will not be 11th Youth Day in Ambazonia, but the EN Endele's and Mola Litumbe's Day in Ambazonia. But what message do you have for our people, especially on the 10th, which falls on our country Sunday, and to honor our leader, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, who is currently being detained by Norwegian authorities, and that same 10 marks the last day of the last extension of his detention that was extended for another 4 weeks. So what message do you have to give to the people from that on that, sir?
P.S.
Yes, sir.
The Ambazonian people can honor the leader of their liberation by, in massive numbers, pay their liberation tax.
Correct.
That is an honor that will have meaning for the sacrifices that this man has made for the Ambazonian people. We can decide that the honor is an honor that frees the people he is willing to die for. At this particular moment, our forces in Mezam, the Mezam military district, in Donga, in Bui, at this particular moment, are engaged in an existential struggle. The man who, for these kids, for these men and women, for Ambazonia, is like a colossal figure. has today, through a racist government, been incarcerated. We can be that father figure for these men and women whose father is now incarcerated by showing them that the last instrument that he handed to Ambazonia that would directly lead to our freedom, that instrument is sharpened and deployed in the field. And that instrument was the liberating tax. Because I can tell you, at this particular moment, we had the defense plan for 2025 that talks about making sure that we augment the recruit of the forces. Just last week, 2 additional bases of the Amazonian Defense Forces were inaugurated. So that work is already ongoing.
Right.
That secures a few more of our villages. That secures a few more ground for Ambazonia. That work is made possible by the deployment of the liberation tax on the field. A hospital is right now under construction.
Right.
Within the next few months, that hospital is going to be refurbished. We are looking at an additional community school. Look, the vision of the leader of this liberation, Dr. Cho, was all encompassing. Sometimes people put him in a box and they like to try to twist that box to fit a square peg in a round hole by saying that this man is just a military leader or that. He had a vision of Ambazonia and Ambazonian institutions. That's why people don't understand when you look at the Ambazonian Liberation Education Board, when you look at some of these other pillars of the state that are growing, and you look at the institution of the liberation tax. Yes, we are in the liberation phase. But even I, as the defense chair, let me put it this way. Just this morning, one of our units just dropped down 100,000 of liberation tax.
Wow.
That is a fighting unit on the battlefront coming to put in the treasury 100,000 of liberation tax, knowing that they could have retained that to buy their ammunition, more ammunition for them. But they are putting it knowing that some might be allocated to schools, some might be allocated to hospitals. So even I, as the War Council chairman, understand the full spectrum of what the Ambazonian nation is all about. And that is what the AGOFC stands for. Right? Now, we talk about the leader of the liberation struggle being incarcerated. And I know that a lot of people have made a lot of hay about the fact that, oh, he has been caught by a Western nation, and this is victory for La Republique and our internal enablers. I see the gong dogs and the salais, the town criers I see them all around. Look, I don't have the time and the space for this buffoon. But let me take a little bit of moment to have a time and a space for Norway. Let me take that, if you will permit me, PS.
Please, sir, do.
Now, let me just put a little bit of the type of people who have extrajudicially using on the, how do you say, on the spot laws, on the spot made laws to hold him. Let me preface my statement, my going into this by saying that if this man had any color than a black man, this will not be happening to him.
Exactly.
Let me repeat that statement. If this man had any color than a black man, than an African, this will not be happening to him.
That's correct.
Do you know that these people took Laurent Gbagbo to the International Criminal Court? And there is Paul Biya that they are picking up opponents of Paul Biya and putting it. Imagine that these people took Laurent Gbagbo to a military tribunal and are dealing with Paul Biya.
Right.
These people participated in killing Muammar Gaddafi. Look at the state of Libya after the death of Muammar Gaddafi.
Oh, God. That's correct.
These are the people who have caught and incarcerated the leader of the Ambazonian liberation struggle. Now, this is a little bit of their history. These people falsely assimilated. Ambazonia, do you realize their history with La République? The Norwegians between the 18 and 1900s implemented a harsh policy of assimilated on the Sami people.
Right.
They restricted their language. Does this ring a bell, Ambazonia?
Exactly.
They restricted their language, their culture, their traditional ways of life. They dispossessed them of their land and instead distributed it to their farmers for agriculture, mining, and their hydroelectric power. So you see, as what happened in the Birmingham, how they turn a large part of our land into islands, just flooded villages with dams. This is the history of Norway. They forced their children into boarding schools. Then let me go to what they did to the what you call these gypsies.
Yeah.
The gypsies. These people practice eugenics. Eugenics. That is, they sterilize. You be a retarded person, handicapped, from other races. These people sterilized them.
The gypsies.
Norway. They call them the Romani people. The Romani Tata. They took their children and their family and forced them into, it's like concentration camps. So I can go to the Quisling government who joined with the Nazis in deporting Norwegian Jews to refugee camps.
Right.
And maybe I'm talking this false sterilization. You think that this was up to 1977.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. So, Norwegian ships were used to transport slaves from Africa to the Caribbeans. So when we talk about Norway being a supporter of genocide and crimes against humanity in Ambazonia, you look at their history, who do you think they would be an ally to? Ambazonia or La Republique? Look at their
Definitely La
history.
Republic.
So I just said all of those noisemakers, I don't have time for them. But I wanted to take a little time today for Norway. So when you look at your leader in jail, you look at a racist criminal state that is doing criminality in order to keep him in jail. And so you feel confident that you are on the right side of history. And as their history showed, they have always been on the wrong side of history. And we will demonstrate that to them again.
And you know what you're saying is all making sense now, Def Chair. To think that today Norway it's been prided and praised in the war as a beacon of hope, as protectors of human rights and human dignity. With all this history, then you will see why they have held a man in custody for 5 months and no charges level. They are looking, fishing for evidence against him, and they've not been able to bring out anything. And still, they don't even have that moral obligation to say, okay, we have not found anything on this man. Let him go.
This is just whitewash. It's just whitewash over shit. It's whitewash. Just peel it a little bit, and you look at it. It's all shit underneath it. Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll call it what
They
it
don't
is.
want.
So
We would
okay.
begin peeling their face for people to see what is underneath them.
Wow. And it's quite a shame. To be honest, Def Chair, I'm really happy about what you said, and I would love to have another session with you to really dig into this and pull it out there. Let the world see. Let people understand these same people they praise with Nobel award on this and that, for the world to really see its true color and to understand why they are doing what they're doing. Because we've seen that they've multiplied their deals with La République du Cameroon, and that is why they are doing everything to keep the leader under their custody, traveling to different countries, interviewing people, calling people to interview people, looking for evidence against the man. They've not been able to find
Yes,
any, and yet,
blood recognize blood.
right,
A terrorist recognizes a
a
terrorist.
terrorist. That's
A
correct.
criminal recognizes a criminal, and a criminal state recognizes a criminal state. The Norwegians, what they have done, they have shown themselves that their history is just their future. That is it. It's not history, it is their future.
That's correct.
They
Because
back the Nazis, they are backing genocide and war crimes in Ambazonia right now. Their history mirrors their future.
that's true. That's true. That's true. And I will have this conversation with you, Def Chair, to be honest. I would, because we need to expose this Norway. They cannot be hiding under the cover of human rights promotion and protection, whereas they are even worse than La République du Cameroon. And that is why they are able to sign deals with La République du Cameroon in exchange for freedom fighters and justice defenders. So
they would lose. They would lose.
amen.
Look, let me say this. The Russians put troops, sent aircrafts, and they were bombing, and Assad thought that they had defeated the Syrian people. It took 48 hours for them to crumble like a house of cards. Today, the European Union is pumping money to they cut, first of all, they cut the leader. I see today that they are sending 91 million euro to Cameroon as loan in order for energy sector. They are sending it to kill Ambazonia. We know that.
That's correct.
They are trying to prop a house of cards that is crumbling. But let me be crystal clear. All of that, your time. The country is already crumbling. Their forces in Ambazonia are living by becoming highway robber. They hijack people's chicken. They hijack people cassava from the farm.
Yeah.
That is how they eat. That is how
Yeah.
they send money to their family. That's what their frontline forces are doing. You can pump billions of dollars into La République. You can that you have the most effective leader of the liberation under incarceration. I promise you are propping a house of cards, and if they don't get out of Ambazonia, I swear to you, La République will splinter into a million pieces. It will be like Humpty Dumpty. You will not be able to put the pieces back together.
Okay. Def Chair, and let me come back to this. So 11 February, we don't want that to happen in Ambazonia. You said it's a charade and it's La République way of trying to continue to trample on the blood of our people and to disgrace our people and to denigrate us. The Ambazonian Defense Forces, tell us what is their preparedness to make sure that this does not happen within our territory, because this is not an organized event by Ambazonia and the leadership of the Ambazonia. So what is the preparedness of our forces to make sure that this no event activity happens in Ambazonia, that our people are protected? Because we know La République often use our civilians as shield to attack our forces. And so because our forces are out there to defend the population, they always have to just bow down because they don't want to kill their own people. They always gather our people, bring them and use them as shield. So what message do you have for our people, mostly those that who have been coerced or who have been bribed to act as shield for La République du Cameroon, and how prepared are our forces to make sure that 11 February is a no event in Ambazonia, but that we are honoring it by staying at home and honoring our heroes? We've called the name of Molanjo Litumbe. We've talked about the Ian Endeles and others, and also honoring our leader who has been held in incarceration over these past 5 months.
Now, I think one of the things that Cameroon has tried to do is to make the Ambazonian liberation into moments. How do I mean by that? And their friends have also tried to do that, into moments. So they would try to organize an election.
Right.
And use that as a moment to show control and the survival of their state. Any legitimate institution or government in the world that looks at the Cameroon parliament or look at the Cameroon government as a functioning state with a legitimate governing body is a joke. Because can anyone tell me if an election has been organized in Ambazonia successfully that you can say has the will of the people for 7 years? So how can you deal with the Cameroon government as a legitimate government if you are taking it that Ambazonia is part of Cameroon? So,
Right.
but that is the corny way that they have tried to define the struggle for their people and for our people. But what we have been so successful about is that they are dealing with a set of Ambazonians that doesn't dance to their tune. As I say, we have gone through the fires of La Republique. We have learned some of their lessons, and we are no longer held prisoners to that colonial way of thinking. And so, what they have tried to do is to tell you that when their Dio sits in a grandstand and two people march and pass, that is they have successfully celebrated and Ambazonia is defeated. That is the psychology of war and war propaganda that made us look at our victory and defeat in the terms that they define. But the Ambazonian Defense Forces and the Egg of Sea has been able to survive all their mechanization. It's because once they define those fields, we change the game. The Ambazonian Defense Forces does not fight only on 11 February or 20th May or election day.
Right.
In Chobu last week, we defeated them. Now, they might cover up this defeat by marching in their military barracks on 11 February and say that that is victory for them.
That's correct.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I know, yeah.
In Chobu, they surrounded Chobu with hundreds of their forces, and they ran and they left 3 dead bodies there when our forces came attacked them. That is the defeat that they are suffering day in, day out in Ambazonia. And that has more impact than anything that we are going to do on 11 February come Tuesday. What they lost, the amount of forces that they lost Antaba, the amount that they lost Andonga, what happened at Chobu. So it is very, very critical. Now, what I am saying is that we will be out on 11 February. Make no mistake, and let nobody sit there and feel comfortable that La Republique is going to come and dance on the head of our heroes on 11th of February. Please stay at home. Please stay at home. Anybody who step out, you are stepping out in a war zone. You are placing yourself in danger. So please advise your neighbors to stay at home. Protect the children by keeping them at home. Make sure that those in the communities who have received money to be able to bribe and instigate people to go out and be used as human shield by La Republique du Cameroon, that doesn't happen. If you see anyone distributing money in the neighborhoods for this to happen, call our forces. Call our forces. They will come and pick up these provocateurs, foreign agents that are intent on putting the lives of our kids and our citizens in danger.
Yeah. That's correct.
We know of cases where La République du Cameroon, out of frustration, have taken out their anger and embarrassment and humiliation on our people. That is what they were trying to do at Chobu. When they met an ambush and they were killed, they went and surrounded Chobu to give collective punishment that the people did not inform them that our forces had approached, were around the area. And then our forces came back and wiped them out and they ran away. So this is what I am telling you, Ambazonia. Our forces will be out on 11 February. La République deploy even 1 man or 1,000 men or 10,000. Some of them will definitely die out of action by the Ambazonian Defense Forces from our various military districts. I can guarantee you that. What I can also guarantee you, those who are stupid enough, those who are treacherous enough to come out on that day, what I can guarantee you is that La République will turn their guns and their bombs on you in their shame, in their humiliation, in their embarrassment, to take out their anger on you. Don't send your kids and children out there.
Perfect. Thank you very much, sir. The message is clear. Ambazonians, we cannot emphasize this enough. Students, we cannot emphasize this enough. If your teachers collect money from La République du Cameroon, insisting that you must show up to participate for any 11 February celebration, you are doing it at your own risk, and you are doing it at the risk of your own parents. So stay at home. It has been declared, stay home. A stay-at-home celebration. It is actually not a celebration. We are staying at home because it is a known event in Ambazonia. We have not called it, we have not organized it, so it is a known event in Ambazonia. If you must look at it to mean anything, we've declared that this 11 February is in honoring our heroes, Molan Joel Litume, EM Endeles, and the rest, and in honoring our leader, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, and others who are in currently under the dungeons of La République du Cameroon, prison, our refugees, our internally displaced persons. These are the people we should be honoring, and those that have bled for Ambazonia and have gone before us. So the message is very clear. Please stay at home. It is for your own good. It is for your own good. Do not put yourself in harm's way because of any pressure from anybody, or because somebody has given you 1,000 La République money to go out in the fee and put yourself in harm's ways. So, Dev Chair, I want in the next 3 minutes for us to talk about finances, and also about how we can fund this liberation. And before I come to ask you a question, I would like to call on the studio to play me a 1-minute video for us to watch that video, and let's get what happened in Rwanda, how they funded their own revolution, and what the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, said, and what you have to say in respect to that. Studio, please, if you can pull that video for me, I would truly appreciate that.
By 4 October, France had sent 150 troops. Brussels followed suit with over 400 paratroopers. Mobutu Sese Seko, president of Zaire, sensing an opportunity to gain favor with France and Belgium, also sent several hundred of his top presidential guards to the aid of his longtime friend Juvenal Habyarimana. A few days later, after being deceived by a staged attack on the capital Kigali by the armed forces of Habyarimana and his now interim government, France committed an additional 600 troops. Paris continued its support throughout the war, and in addition to logistical assistance, underwrote and facilitated the purchase of over $10 million worth of military supplies.
We buy them from the contribution given by the Rwandese community internally here and in diaspora. There have been a very large Rwandese community outside Rwanda. We also captured a lot of equipment from the government forces.
I see a lot of South African weaponry.
Yes, you can be sure that one was captured from the Rwandese government because they have been buying lots of arms from South Africa.
Wow. Dev Chair, you saw General Paul Kagame and the military leader of RPF and now the current president of Rwanda. He said he talked about, because they were asking him how they're funding the war. And you could hear him say, finances were coming, but at a point they decided that Rwandese will fund Rwandans at home were contributing to the war, and they have a huge Rwandan community in the diaspora that also started funding the war back home. So Rwandans basically funded the war. Now, in the Ambazonia revolution, we've seen that we've not heard, or maybe if there is any that you've not told us, that there is any country that is funding the Ambazonian liberation, despite Ambazonian putting Cameroon on its knees for the last 7 to 8 years now. And just like President Paul Kagame said, Ambazonia also has a huge community in the diaspora. How has this been of any use to the funding of the liberation on the ground, sir? And what means, or how, just tell us how this can be, Ambazonians can truly fund the war on the ground.
So, thanks a lot, PS, for coming to this point, because I think it is one of the most critical in the liberation, in our freedom. One of the things that we as a people have really been, I would say, not one of the things that we have been unfortunate about is that we gain our freedom in such a non-sacrificial way that we just gave it away, because it absolutely meant nothing to us. Nothing. That's why you if you want to be biblical about it, you hear about the road to heaven is filled with thorns.
That's correct.
When we move out of Enugu, and there has not been this number of Ambazonians dead fighting to get this number, you just have a group of clowns that had something so precious in their hands as the destiny of a people, and bloodlessly gave it to a hungry wolf. And so part of what I and the CIC, and it's deliberate, that and a lot of the leaders within the AG of C and SYL movement, part of our reasoning is that the Ambazonian people will gain their freedom on in combat. And why? Because we will be the primary investors of our own liberation. That we will be the primary investors of our own liberation. Have we as a people exercised that power? Not by up to 5%. Not by up to 5%. Look, you just played the Rwandan situation.
Right.
Look at Rwanda today. Formula One has never come to Africa. If they tell you that Formula One racing is coming to Africa, and one of the countries that they are looking at is a country that just over 20 years ago had the type of genocide and structurally impoverished as Rwanda was, and that is the country they are considering today in Africa to bring for the first time Formula One racing. Will you believe it?
Not at all. Not at all.
But that is the power of a people who believe in their freedom, who believe that they can be and are the primary investors of their freedom.
Studio, if you can kindly take a dev chair, one second, please. Okay, it's okay now. I wanted the studio to bring you up alone so that this message is very important. I would like Ambazonians to see you very clearly while you're speaking.
See, let me not lose my train of thought. What I was saying before you cut me off is that if the Rwandans can do what they did, sometimes people look at us as asking for extraordinary things from Ambazonia. No. And this, it is very important for Ambazonians to understand that we are not a unique people. We are not alpha human or subhuman. We are not alpha human or subhuman. We are not an entity separate from a human being. We are not reinventing a wheel. We are just one in a long history of humans fighting for their freedom, whether it is in South Sudan, in Rwanda, whether it is in Angola, whether it is in the United States of America. We are not unique. The Rwandans told you about their people contributing at home and abroad. What do you think the institution of the liberation tax does? It's the participation of a people who tomorrow are going to say, I had a skin in the game.
Yes.
So if I am sending you as my representative to talk about my freedom, you understand the full capacity, because I will be like a wolf looking at you from the stands around that stadium where you are sitting in the middle representing me. Because you joke on my sacrifice of blood, tears, and treasure, I am going to tear you apart. That is what the Funchals did not have. That is why today, all of us must have a skin in the game, so that the freedom becomes that precious commodity that we walk through that road of thorns to get to that freedom. And then we will never joke with it. So we must look. I know that the arrest of the leader of the liberation in Norway, but I just showed you the history of Norway and why you cannot take what they did as a testament of the legitimacy of your cause, because these are a criminal enterprise and their blood aligns with criminal enterprises, with people who do eugenics, with Nazis who commit genocide. That is who their natural ally is. They might camouflage that they have gone through, but I mean, the color of a leopard is a leopard. Whether you take white paint and you paint on top of it, it will not change that color. So
that's correct.
So understand this. because I know that all of these, the FBI coming in my home, it somehow send a cold shiver down the spines of some Ambazonians. My fellow Ambazonians, look, right now, this American, what is his name? What is his name again? I think I had it. Ahmed Khan is an American. This man, in 2.5 years, this man has spent over $50 million supporting the armed struggle in Ukraine. More than 50. Warren Buffett's son, you know Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in America, have spent over $800 million on Ukraine. These are not government sanctioned stuff. These are individuals. Former Marines are on the front lines. Volunteers. There is a journalist, one of these panelists that always appear on panels in MSNBC and this, a former Marine that left that job and volunteered on the front lines in Ukraine. Did the FBI go and pick him up? That the government did not sanction that or anything? These are very clear indicators to you about you just being a human being, not alpha or sub or a different species of human. This is you, whether you decide to embrace the power that you have or you decide to be small. It is all on you. You have that space to take, to say there is clear, obvious, inhuman treatment and persecution of the Ambazonian people, and it is my right, sitting in the US or anywhere in the world, to do everything, to spend my sweat, my money, in order to protect the people of Ambazonia. Nobody can knock your door in the night and charge you for doing that. You have not gone to a bank and stolen somebody's money. It's your sweat, it is your blood. So I want to say this because La République has used that, and the Norwegians have tried to use that, and their supporters have tried to use the Dr. Cho Ayaba to try to tactically drain the revolution of the support from Ambazonia by instilling fear.
In the heart of the people.
My comrades, you can either decide to live your life in fear, or you can decide to live it as a human being. I note, I did not say that as what do you call hero or that. No, it's either fear or just as a normal human being. Heroism will be when an Ambazonian stands, those that are capable, and write $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 check. Or when those that have $500 are able to remove $250, that is the heroism we are talking about, we will go about. But note this, the Sudanese people, let me tell you what the Sudanese people do. Sudanese direct financial support to the Sudanese, to the SPLM, that is the Sudanese People Liberation Movement, and the SPLA, they relied heavily on South Sudanese expatriates. Remittances from US, Canada, Australia, and Europe were channeled to Sudan, to these liberation movements, which finally gained South Sudan their independence.
Right.
Just what we do every month when we come together and organize these fundraisers, that is what the Southern Sudanese were doing in the 1980s and 90s. So this is not a scenario where we are reinventing the wheel.
Okay.
This is, as you heard from the Rwandans, as I just exposed to you from the South Sudanese, the Eritreans, this is the modus operandi. Yeah. So Amazonians, come together, let's end suffering in our land by supporting the movement. Those who are able to do their liberation tax, do it. Those who are able to come on a monthly fundraiser, and one will be coming on this month. This month. What is the date, PS? This month, please come together.
It's the last Saturday of this month.
When a shark smells blood, it goes for the jugular. It goes in for the kill. The idea of La République even talking and smiling, and you see some of their agents showing their heads up, is because for a few Ambazonians, they have smelled fear. Don't give them that space. Let us demonstrate to our fighters who for 1 second, even those their father of the liberation war was taken, never put their gun down and put their hands on their head. They instead increase the tempo of their fight. Join them, Ambazonians. Join them. Follow the Rwandans. Tomorrow we will not be talking about, when they talk about F1, we'll be talking about Ambazonia putting the first man on the moon from Africa. That is the potential that we have. But we must embrace that potential right now by supporting this struggle in a way that others have supported and want freedom for them. Thanks, PS.
Thank you very much. And Ambazonians, you've heard it. It is not like we are reinventing the wheel. And nobody should scare you because Dr. Ayaba was picked up and is illegally detained by the Norwegian authorities. That should not scare you to be a primary investor in your own liberation. You heard him clearly. He has cited incidences and nations. Rwanda, that's President Paul Kagame saying it live on camera. We've also read, you've heard him mention about the South Sudanese, and we've heard of the Eritreans. And this is not all. The list is not exhausted. And so we are calling on all Ambazonians, all hands on deck. All hands on decks. What would you tell your children that you did during the Ambazonia War of Liberation as an Ambazonia to fight, to make sure that this war was well persecuted? Make sure your name is written down. Make sure you are a participant, not just a spectator, not sitting on the fence and saying that will not think. We will see where it will end. No, Ambalanders, take the bold step, just like he cited the example of the shark. When the shark smells blood, it becomes more violent, making sure it goes for its prey. So let us all come together. Make sure we fund the liberation. The liberation tax is your way to fund the liberation. Nobody will come and question you, why did you pay liberation tax? Our monthly fundraisers are other means through which you can fund the liberation. Supporting, just taking up a family of a soldier and keeping them safe, providing them with what they need, the gadgets and everything that children need, is a way of funding the liberation. There are many other ways. Our IDPs, our refugees, there are many other ways through which you can fund the liberation, but make sure you are part of this journey. We are in this together. So we must sail through to the shore. So don't say we will sink. No, there is no sinking. If we were to sink, we would have sunk long time ago. So we are sailing to the shore and victoriously. So be part of that journey so that you can sit one day and tell yourself, yes, we did it as a people. Just like the Sudanese, they did it, the Eritreans, they did it, the Rwandese, they did it. Let us also be part of the proud Ambazonians who can beat or hit the chest or pat another on the shoulder and say, man, we did it. So this is the message the Deaf Chair is passing to us today about financing the liberation. Do it in any way you feel comfortable. Yes, sir.
And P.S. I know that sometimes the Ambazonian people and someone might sit and the project becomes too much. They might look at the totality of what needs to be done and are daunted, and they give up before they even start.
Mm-hmm.
So and they just feel that I have $10 here or I have $1,000. What does that do? When I look at Cameroon, I see this camp, they deploy 100 armored cars. That one they deploy 200. That one they deploy 300. Then there are planes and that. I give up. These boys cannot win. These boys cannot do that. They cannot do that. So Ambazonians, see, don't be crippled by your fears.
Correct.
Don't be defeated before you even throw a blow. Look, if you know the man on the man in the arena, that Franklin Roosevelt, the speech that he gave, and he talked of the poor souls who know neither victory nor defeat. The poor souls who know neither victory nor defeat. If you don't try, you will not know, you will not have the heartbreak of defeat or the glory of victory. That is why Jesus had to fall down to understand the impact of being defeated and stand up and persevere and went forward. Even though he knew the outcome, even though daunted, he even stood and asked, is there a way that we can avoid this? That's the Son of God. But in his buckling down and going through it, it is showing every single human being that that is the road to travel. When you talk about freedom, you have to fight and suffer and sacrifice for it, because the person who could command freedom decided to show you that that is the pathway. That is the only pathway. Sacrifice and suffering, because at the end of the day, that is when you will know the value of what freedom is. So I am pleading with you. Look, I am a man who in 97 went to the war front with a knife and bow and arrow in his hands. And a man who used his school fees in order to pay a car to go to the Adeboya University, in order to pay a car to go to the war front and pay his colleague. Or one other colleague, a director at a food place in Mutengene, that opened the cash registry and moved all the cash there and gave for orders of the Revolutionary High Council to travel to the war front in Bamenda from Mutengene. Doing that, I had never seen a pistol in my life, even when I was going to that war front. I had never heard. What I had held was a one-round gun.
Right.
To that point in my life, I entered Bamenda from City Chemist, going right down to Ntarikon and up. That I think it was a mobile wing station opposite hospital. Had they been captured by boys wielding bow and arrows and carrying these leaves, they call it angwalan, tying it in their head. Bamenda had been divided. That's 97. When no Ambazonian had a 5-round pistol. So I am saying this to those that will be daunted that they cannot even start because it will be like just wasting their resources, because who we face is so huge and supported by Russia, supported by China, supported by France, supported by Norway, and you are already paralyzed before you even start. My brothers, the Ambazonian Defense Forces was from my market that I was looking at the formation of this was iron works, local iron works, where we were going and they were getting us these elephant guns.
Right.
These guns that our people use to bring down elephants. They make them locally. That is the market through which we started before our forces deployed at the barracks at Bisongabang. Take from that to when you saw General Ivo capture up to Moliko, entering villages and the population on the road. Before our lack of faith and the acceptance of the enablers within us snatch defeat from the mouth of victory that General Ivo was delivering. But we have not been defeated even with that. Imagine 7 years of facing these people with what you thought
sophisticated.
Not the case. So I cannot sell you anything other than the evidence that your eyes have seen. Come on board I have told you about how long it took the Syrian army to collapse. I have told you how long it took the Soviet Union to collapse. How did the Americans get out of Afghanistan? A people united can never be defeated in the land of their birth. Cannot.
Exactly. Never.
Whether
Never.
you are a world power backed by other world powers, a people united, determined, can never be defeated in the land of their birth. We will not be the first people in history for that to happen. 7 years after La République promised, and you thought it was just a matter of time, has gone by. And the guns of Ambazonia are shouting louder and stronger. So we need you. Check your fears and your doubts and your inertia. Check them. The journey of 1,000 miles begin with the first step. Start.
Yes.
Join us and we finish this job. Thank you, PS.
Thank you very much, sir. I wanted to give you just 1 minute to give your closing remark, but the way you've summed this thing up, I would want to think that this will be your closing remark. But if you have one last a message to pass for 1 minute or below that, you can do so. But otherwise, we would like to thank you for taking our time to be with us here in the studio.
My pleasure, PS. You wrong me from left to right. Thank you very much for your intelligence, your sacrifices. I know how much it takes for always being there and be at your post. So thank you, and I really appreciate our outing today.
Thank you very much, sir. And I know that you still have many more lined up. So and I am glad that we are having you more in the studio these days. So thank you very much, sir. And studio, if you don't mind, I would like you to take out Mr. Benedict Kuah, the chairman of the War Council, from the studio while we wrap up. Okay, fellow Ambalanders, thank you very much for your time and for creating that time to be here with us this evening. The message has been very clear. There is nothing more for me to say based on what the defense chairman has said. From the issue of not participating in elections in 11 February celebrations in Ambazonia, emphasis on staying at home and emphasis on honoring our leader, Dr. Cholukas Ayaba, and the emphasis on paying your liberation tax, but most importantly, being part of the journey. These are things that you must pride yourself in. As Ambazonians, we've seen others done it. We should be able to do it. It is nothing illegal because the war we are fighting to exist. We are fighting for our right as a people, and it is an internationally recognized right. So nobody should deceive you and say, oh, if you fund the liberation, you'll be arrested or you'll be charged for this. Dr. Ayaba has gone down. No, Dr. Ayaba has not gone down. He has not gone down. So fellow Ambalanders, we invite you to join the liberation and support and fund our fighters on the ground. Imagine people who gave up everything, their families, their children, their education, their careers, their businesses, and decided to defend your homeland, defend your properties that you'll have back home, protect your mothers and your siblings back home, your families, your communities. Is that not enough sacrifice for you to ask yourself, if these people could take up arms to defend my communities, why should I not fund them, to support them to stay alive? Because once you fund the liberation, you are keeping those fighters alive to continue to fight for your protection. So fellow Ambalanders, join us on our monthly fundraisers to support the liberation. If you want to support via the IDPs or our refugees, there are many ways in which you can fund the revolution. So we invite you all to do that. And again, in the next 2 minutes, I will be coming back with a very crucial announcement regarding elections in the Ambazonian Governing Council. The Vice President came out a few days ago and talked about the end of the mandate of the President and himself, and that there will be upcoming elections. So we are here today, I'm here today to bring you out the resolution and what has been decided by the Council of Mission and the National Council pertaining the elections in Ambazonian Governing Council, the position of the President and the Vice President. So I will be back in the next 2 minutes. Please stay tuned as we come back to give you this all-important announcement. Thank you very much, studio.
Ambazonia, special loyalty. Presence of our Savior who granted us the freedom. Allegiance to the hero for God alone we gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing with and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation.
Fellow Ambalanders, good evening, good morning, good afternoon once again. I'm so delighted to be here in the studio once again to bring you a very important announcement. Few days ago, when the Vice President of the Ambazonian Governing Council had an outing, he announced to the people of Ambazonia about the upcoming election of the Vice President and that of the President of the Ambazonian Governing Council. So on the 5th of February, the Council of Mission, which is the highest body of the Ambazonian Governing Council, met to bring to bear the decision of the organization. And today, I am here to bring to you the resolution arrived at by the Council of Mission, the National and the National Council, pertaining the election of the President and the Vice President of the Ambazonian Governing Council. And here is what the Council of Mission arrived at. Resolution number 001/2025 of the Council of Missions and the National Council of the Ambazonian Governing Council, bearing on the present state of the Ambazonia War of Liberation and its leadership. According to Article 26 of the Ambazonian Governing Council's Charter, the Council of Mission is the highest integrated or cross-mission leadership body. Article 27, Section 3 also states that one of the key responsibilities of the Council of Mission is to mobilize the local and international community to embrace the Ambazonian independence cause without jeopardizing the necessary focus and victory that the revolution requires and deserves. Additionally, Article 57, Section 2 states that the Council of Mission may, in concert with the National Council and by resolution passed by a 2/3 majority favor vote in each council, provide for the case of removal or inability, both the President and the Vice President declaring what officer shall then act as President, as such officer shall act accordingly until the disability be removed or a President shall be elected. Given the prevailing circumstances characterized by the ongoing unreported genocide, war, and attempt by the enemies of Ambazonia to decapitate the leadership of the Ambazonia War of Liberation, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, a joint extraordinary and enlarged meeting was convened by the National Council and the Council of Missions on the 5th of February 2025. The meeting was also attended by heads of various departments of the Ambazonian Governing Council and the Vice President upon invitation. The distinguished members of the Ambazonian Governing Council in attendance carefully reviewed with deep concern the articles of the Ambazonian Governing Council's charter related to the removal and replacement of the officials within the organization and reached an understanding that the charter was designed more for governance rather than for guiding a revolution. They unanimously agreed that the mandate of the present executive headed by the President, Dr. Cholukas Ayaba, and Vice President, Dr. Julius Nee, should be extended for the continuity of the ongoing liberation work. The Council of Mission, as the highest decision-making body of the organization, has expressed its collective voice and democratic will through its members. Considering the outcome of the emergency meeting, the Council of Mission has decided to suspend Article 57, Section 2 of the Charter and has reaffirmed that Dr. Cholukas Ayaba, the leader of the Ambazonian Liberation War or struggle, currently in detention, along with his Vice President, Dr. Julius Nee, should continue steering the revolution to its rightful conclusion. This decision reflects the reality that we remain in a revolutionary struggle until favorable conditions for due process are achieved. We emphasize that the decision is not motivated by any intent to alter existing frameworks for the sake of retaining power. Rather, it arises from the exceptional necessity of safeguarding the Ambazonian quest for freedom, outlined in Article 27, subsection 3 of the Charter of the Ambazonian Governing Council. Our commitment to the Charter and the constitutional integrity remains unwavering. The Council of Mission has followed due process in making this decision, which in the supreme interest of the Ambazonian Revolution, aligning with best practices for the execution of the liberation struggle, recognizing that revolutions are shaped by circumstances that demand decisive leadership, vision, and the ability to mobilize the people. We therefore call upon our international partners and the Ambazonian people to recognize the legitimate will of the people as expressed through the membership of the Council of Mission, as stated in Article 26, and to support a process that prioritizes peace, stability, and the safeguarding of the revolutionary movement. We reaffirm that this decision was conducted with the highest respect for fairness, justice, and legal standards. Signed or done in Boya on the 7th of February 2025. Signed the chairman of the Council of the National Council, Mr. Frank Gore, and the chairperson of the Council of Missions, Louise Bandi. Thank you very much for your attention.
The Ambazonia, special loyalty. Praise our Savior who granted us the freedom. Our legends to the hero, for God alone we gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing with the holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you Usually replenty meets in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, usually replenty meets in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above.